Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a special guest back on the show again. Becca, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's become like a regular thing, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah. It is definitely. Becca, could you tell me, what advice would you have given your younger self if you could go back?
I think the advice that I would give to my younger self would be, just don't worry. I thought I had the world on my shoulders as kind of a teenager. And in real fact, my life didn't start properly until I was an adult. All the things you worry about when you're younger, school, being popular, looking the right way, as an adult, it just doesn't matter. So I would tell the younger me, be less harsh and critical on yourself, love yourself that little bit more, accept who you are, and just enjoy your childhood, just enjoy your teenage years, because they go by so quickly, and it's too much to be too serious that young. So just enjoy yourself more, relax a little bit more, and don't let people treat you how you don't want to be treated.
100%. What impact do you think that would have had if you could have spoken to your younger self?
A massive impact. I wish I could have spoken to my younger self. I think that I would have maybe cut off a lot of negative friendships that I had a lot sooner. I think that I would have been a lot less critical on myself, because I didn't really have that influence when I was younger of, you're okay, you're enough, like just learn to love yourself. I never had that kind of influence. My friends and things like that as a child, they were all quite negative. I was negative. So I think I would have maybe had some more positive friendships. I would have most definitely had more positive relationships, because the relationships I ended up in were because I didn't think I was necessarily worth what kind of relationship I wanted. So I think if I had my kind of influence now, but at a younger age, I think my life would have probably been completely different.
Listen, if you can, light up the darkness.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is the path, isn't it? It's like every experience that you have that creates some inner turmoil, use it as an opportunity to grow and glow and keep it moving.
What great advice for Friday.
Yeah, we live by that as a mantra.
I like it. So talk to me. What advice would you give your younger self if you could go back?
So I've got two things. One, don't sweat the small stuff. And two, accept every emotion as a part of you that deserves love and acceptance.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What impact do you think those words would have had on you, your younger self?
It would have changed everything for me, because when I was young, I was so disconnected from like my essence, from my soul. I was living in a state of like, I was just disembodied, disempowered, like in resistance, judging and shaming myself for not being, I don't know, perfect or happy all of the time, maybe feeling anxious and depressed. And instead of welcoming those things, I would push them away, which would actually just make them erupt and grow and create more like disharmony in my nervous system. Whereas if I was able to accept that about myself at a younger age, I mean, I do now, but if it was earlier, I probably would reach the state that I'm in now at a much younger age.
I hear you.
So yeah, it would have had a huge impact. And I think it would have a huge impact on anyone. So I feel like from the get-go, we should be teaching our children that everything they feel is valid, welcome, accepted, and worthy of love. And you'll have much happier people in the world.
Tell me, what advice would you give your younger self?
So the advice that I would give is just to know that you're loved and supported, to know that life doesn't have to be so scary, and that you can go out and be brave and make those steps forwards. And I think the important thing is to know that as my future self, is that I believe in you, is that you don't need validation from anyone else. Just be yourself, just be authentically you, and figure life out as you go. Just make those steps forwards, even if they're the smallest steps. You're going to turn into someone great.
I like that. How much of an impact do you think that advice would have had on you and your life?
Probably a big impact, because looking back at my life, I wish I had a guide when I was younger, because I was so confused about the direction of my life, and I was very anxious, very scared when I was younger. So it's like, when the world is so intense, to have someone say this advice, I think that would make such a difference, because even that is just direction. It's like it just propels you forwards. And I think to have those comforting words just gives that bit of confidence.
Advice you would give your younger self. What would you say to your younger self?
Well, it's funny because yesterday, so I recently got an account for this website called Social Curator, and it's run by a woman called Jasmine Starr, and she's really passionate about helping people who are trying to create a business or a profile on social media to expand. And I was actually feeling really lethargic the other day, and I just wasn't feeling myself. And I did the breath work that we were speaking about before this show, and I then went on one of her shows, on one of her webinars, and I ended up getting the Social Curator account. And yesterday I was looking at some of the captions that she gives you, and one of them was what you would say to your younger self. And yesterday you told me that was the theme, and then that came up as one of the first caption suggestions. This happens to me all the time. I'm like over it, but I still love it, you know. I still love these synchronicities. So that came up, and I started looking through the old pictures of myself, because I was going to put a post today on Instagram. I didn't in the end, but I started looking at old pictures, and I found a picture of myself when I was 15 and a picture of myself when I was 8. And then I thought, those two Mikas would need to hear something different.
Okay.
And I think that so I'd like to ask you, which one should I speak to? The younger one, the 8-year-old, or the 15-year-old?
The 8-year-old.
The 8-year-old, yeah. I was doing some work with myself this morning, and I was doing a meditation, and I actually was sending energy to my 8-year-old self. And so she's coming through. She needs to be spoken to. So here we go. I would tell her that she is very, very brave, and well done for always being able to use her voice to address her emotions and to express her emotions. And that is a gift, to be able to be so outwards, and also to not be so afraid, because I was very fearful as a child and very nervous. And obviously it's not easy to just tell a child, don't be afraid, but I say, come sit here, we're going to do a meditation, because this is something that you should know how to do, so that when you're feeling scared and anxious, you can come to this safe place and you can feel okay. Because one thing I'm really passionate about is actually doing work with children with the stuff that I do, because I think that children, you know, we think we're born with as a tabula rasa, like a blank slate, but we're not. We've had past lives. We're coming here into this life to clear some things up from our past lives, our parents, and children come how they are, you know, they're born fully formed and they're just learning again. And so I would, you know, I think that actually children having a way to cope, because it is difficult being a child. It's not just, oh, I wish I was a child again. No, it's hard. If you're going through things, you're going through things, however old you are. And so, you know, telling a child your experience is valid, let me help you. I would go back to my child self and I say, like, you have a safe space with me. I'm going to help you how to do things that make you feel good. And what you're experiencing is valid, and it's going to teach you so much. That's a big thing, I think, is I learned so much in my childhood from the pain that I experienced, and I've always loved learning. So I think telling myself that as a 8-year-old will give me so much excitement, like, oh my god, yeah, I'm going to learn so much, amazing. And also just telling my child self, you fill the room with brightness and with energy. Just keep on shining, Mika. You're amazing. That's what I would tell my child self as well.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What impact do you think that would have had on you? Out of interest.
Oh, I think I probably would have cried loads. And I would have just, it's funny because I do feel I believe that time is not linear and we can go back and forwards in time. And I've had experiences during like sort of sleep paralysis, but the astral realm where I've gone back to hang out with my child self to help her because I used to have sleeping problems when I was a child. And I always felt protected, even though there was loads going on. I always knew that for some reason there was a sense of protection. And I think if I'd come back to that time and I'd seen myself now in the physical, I'd gone, oh, that's who's protecting me. Like, I feel like me right now, I'm going back and I'm sending all this energy to my past self, and I would have just materialized in my life, and it would have been so obvious that this is my protector. I am my protector, and obviously I've got other guides and people in my life and ways of thinking, like mental patterns that I think also protect me. But it would feel like I got an answer. I would be surprised to remember and go, this makes so much sense. And yeah, I always wanted a guide. And then last year they started coming through. So I think I'd be very grateful as well for that experience to go back and hang out with Mika.
Well, thank you very much for having me back.
You're always welcome, you know that.
Thank you.
So Dags, talk to me. What advice would you give your younger self?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think the one of the I've got loads of advice, by the way. I would be like a full list. Okay, where do we start? But I think for women, a very important aspect is self-acceptance. So what I would say to myself was, it's okay to be different and know your worth, because we live in a times where everyone's just comparing themselves to each other, especially women, not even the looks, but just like accomplishments and lives, and at what stage do you have children, at what stage you buy a house or career, anything like that. So it's just stop comparing yourself or your timeline to other people's timelines, because everyone is different and everyone will accomplish different things at their time. So just know your worth, know your strengths, and it's okay to be different. I think like nowadays we are going in the right direction, because there is a lot of awareness about mental health, a lot of awareness about body positivity, about bullying. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do, and social media is still obviously reflecting that there's work to be done, but we're going in the right direction. And looking at my son, I'm hoping that he will be growing up in a bit more positive environment, but more accepting differences and different looks and different accomplishments and so on. So I grew up without social media, so that was positive, but at the same time in media there was just all the time the same kind of look that was advertised, or everyone just wanted to go into the one sort of look and body shape, whereas at the moment there is this diversity and variety, which is great. So yeah, I think that would be the most important thing, just be yourself and embrace differences.
What impact on your life today do you think that advice would have had on you?
I think it would definitely free me up a little bit from constant worrying, constant feeling insecure, not actually enjoying myself in the moment, life. I remember insecurities really stopped me from silly things like, I don't know, enjoying myself on holiday and wearing a bikini, or in relationships as well, like just me constantly thinking that the other person is maybe not attracted to me, or there's something there, or those kind of small things that we sometimes create in our mind and make it really, really big. So it would just be a bit more freedom, I think, and freeing to be yourself, fully yourself, and not actually worrying about what do people think, because they're all worrying about themselves anyway. So
Yeah.
don't worry about that. But it's just that kind of feeling of I'm cool being me, and it's fine. So that's really important. And I feel like I'm at the moment in my life, at this stage where I feel this way. I feel more free. I feel more accepting myself and my insecurities and differences and everything, and I understand why certain things happen. So yeah, another thing that would be for me is everything happens for a reason. So everything that happened during that time, with the bad and good, had a reason for me to grow, and all those negative things also allowed me to grow into the person I am today. So yeah, just be patient with yourself.
Powerful advice I could have given my younger self is to believe your gut and just be true to yourself. Not worry what other people think of you and your decisions, and just go out there and do your best and push yourself really hard, and not be fear of the failure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what impact do you think that would have had on you today if you went back and told yourself that?
Gosh, I think career-wise, a really huge impact.
Yeah.
Kind of friendship-wise, I've always had really lovely friends. I've always surrounded myself with really good friends, but I don't know that I was necessarily true to who I was, but kind of tried to be the person they wanted me to be. And I think, this journey that I'm on now has made me realise it would have made no difference. I am a really lovely person, and I think I just needed to trust that that instinct. But career-wise, I feel like I could have got so much further had I just taken that risk and that gamble, that if I fell, I'd pick myself back up again and move on, rather than being afraid of the fear. But watch this space, because there's a fire inside my belly now that is I'm not too old to kind of go for that. And yeah, I'm ready now. I feel ready.
Cool. That's great to hear. Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're very welcome.